birds humming or hissing. So outsiders looking in called us mystical and unruly and emotional, and they wondered why we were so quick to summon poems so full of music. And while they admired our talents, they saw them as trinkets, evidence of our lack of seriousness. But the ancient poetic traditions grew into lays and rebel songs, ways of communicating news they didn't want us to know around a local area. Rabble-rousing and emotive declarations of loss and grief and longing, and in the end, we wrote and we played and we sang a new Ireland into existence. High magic grown out of humble folk magic, and this too is Draíocht Ceoil. Read a very short passage, maybe. So this is chapter 1, because it's easier to start at the beginning than it is afterwards. Tír gan China, tír gan Anam. A country without language is a country without a soul. We Irish are famous for our music, our poetry, and our skill with the written and spoken word. Even in a language not our own, imposed on us by brutal conquest and colonialism, we excel in creating our own rhythms and coining our own phrases. We created Hiberno English from the rhythms and structure of Irish mixed with Elizabethan English. Essentially, they took our language from us, and we revenged ourselves by being better at their language than they are. But there is nothing, no sound on earth, sweeter than the song of your own people. Ireland, in common with many indigenous post-colonial nations, struggles now with our native language. Our Changa Nashuta is constantly in danger, and as much from our own education system as from any external force. But it's not alone in needing protection. Our folk traditions and folk magic, our heritage from old Irish society, Breton law, Druidic legacies of language, and field traditions all need nurturing. Draíocht Ceoil is a system of knowledge, made up of poetry and music. We can identify it in various practices throughout Irish history, a thread woven throughout our culture. The ability to play music was especially valued in Irish society. Music could change how you felt. Music could lead to liminal spaces. People knew this, the same way they knew that milk soured in hot weather or how to cook potatoes the best way. It is important to remember that when a living tradition is recorded and codified, that is really just a snapshot in a moment in time. The practices about which I write were a normal part of everyday life for centuries, as is the same with all Irish folk magic. People went to Mass, then they placated the sheep. They lit candles to Holy Mary, but then they sang while they spun, and they tried to tell their future by the fireside. None of this exists in a vacuum. But to preserve and pass on traditions, to enable those, particularly those outside the practice, to explore it, we do need to codify it to some extent and present it in a cultural context. Irish traditions are living traditions and should not be divorced from their roots.